bets here on the Field of 68 YouTube channel. We are, of course, sponsored by our great friends at BetRivers. And of course, if you're betting there, make sure to use their parlay boost 4 legs college basketball parlay. You get a little 20% boost. Makes it kind of worth it. We don't always advertise parlays here, but man, if they're going to give you boosts, you got to take advantage of them. Kai, Matt, we had some incredible games yesterday. Maui semis were fantastic. Arizona did pull away late, but man, that Creighton Arkansas game was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. What was your takeaway yesterday? Mr. McEwen, you have my permission to rant if you need to.
Yeah, tough night on the gambling front. Sometimes you got to get humbled, Jim. We don't have to dwell on that. But Arizona is awesome. I did watch that game. It's a fun team. Well, first half, I'll be honest. I went to bed. But it's a fun team. It reminds me of Gonzaga of old, Matt. Tommy Lloyd makes a lot of sense. And Creighton, Arkansas, about as high-quality games you can get. Fantastic to watch. Both teams, excellent. Going to be scary down the road.
Yeah, Courtney Ramey, Jim, for Arizona. I want to underscore him specifically. I feel like we glossed over his return just in talking about them. I think you just kind of like inserted it last second. We talked about them yesterday. Absolutely matters. That backcourt's pretty thin, and he's been a game changer, thriving in that up and down system where he kind of has like the free flowing. He plays like in pace now, where like in Texas, he was kind of just like more rigid and stuck, and he looks awesome. And that team, I think by association, looks awesome. Are the Wildcats as good as last year? No, but man, you can see a world in which they get right back to that level, and they can be vying for a 2-1 seed come March.
Yeah, when they shoot like this, they're, as Kai pointed
and they
out
make shots, right?
They're first in 3-point percentage, first in 2-point percentage. They did drop behind Utah State because Utah State made 19 of 33 threes yesterday. Totally absurd performance by them. But Arizona's been a juggernaut. We're going to break that game down in a second. That Creighton game was a classic, like just back and forth. The sequence of Ryan Nembhard, I didn't know he could dunk, but he hammered one in the lane.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Followed by Trevon Brazile, ties it up with a 3 to immediately silence the crowd. Was just like, oh, okay. These teams are throwing absolute 40-pound haymakers just back and forth like that. That was great. Love to see it. Hope we get more of that action today. Get the Atlantis tip-off. We got Maui, and that is where we're going to start on the outline, fellas. Maui title game. Creighton, Arizona, big part of our takeaways there. We got Arizona as a slight favorite here, -2.5. A total in the clouds of 164. And I will point out, Maui overs yesterday, 1-3. The only one that won was Creighton.
So 4-4 overall now.
Yeah, 4-4. So does that sound like free money to you, Kai?
No, it does not.
Doesn't seem free to me either. All right, how do you see this matchup shaping up? Obviously, both these two teams have looked really good so far.
Yeah, this game rocks. I don't think anyone can slow down Arizona. They're firing on all cylinders. Putting up 1.14 points per possession against San Diego State is eye-opening. And Courtney Ramey, Matt, is a big part of it. He looks like he fits right in with this group. He's off to the best start of his career this season. 19 points per game, 8 for 10 from 3 in 2 games. It's going to come down eventually, but man, he looks confident. He looks really good. There might not really be a weakness on Arizona. That's kind of my takeaway from that game. I know they're going to cool off eventually. 70% effective field goal percentage can't last forever, but I am just so enamored with this team. And Tommy Lloyd is excellent. He's been excellent for now 1.3 seasons. I think he deserves a lot of credit here. Now, Creighton was awesome as well. They're a top 10 offense now in Ken Pom. I'm sure you saw that, Matthew. Baylor Shireman, I owe him a small apology. Big fan of him at South Dakota State. Didn't think he would translate like he has so far at the big levels. He's a game changer for them.
Yeah, right. He's got he's deceptively big, right? He's like 6'6", gets in the lane, can shoot over people, can get his own shot. I think the key part of this handicap was how healthy was Ryan Kalkbrenner yesterday, and he looked pretty good to me, right? I mean, had a phenomenal game, sealing off post inside. Guarding Arkansas and pick and roll is no easy task. I know Brazile had a couple of pick and pop threes on him, but Arizona's bigs don't present that threat. Like they're more paint plotting type of bigs. They're not going to step away and kill you with 3 balls. At least Ballo into Ballo's phone. I think that plays well in Creighton's favor. I actually like some of the matchup angles for Creighton here. Also a very disciplined defensive transition team, but the line's just too short.
I'm going to disagree with that one. But
Jim, disagree. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Because they were bad in transition defense yesterday. And I think you have to be like perfect in transition defense to stop Arizona or Gonzaga. And they didn't. I was not impressed by Creighton's transition D yesterday. I thought that was a problem, and they were sloppy, turned it over 17 times, turned it over against this Arizona team and you're going to give up layups. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted, Matt. I should have held my
No, you're right. I thought
point.
they were fine. I thought just Arkansas was that talented, that explosive, and they kind of let their foot off the gas when they had the lead. So yeah, fair. It wasn't a consistent 40-minute effort, but I just think Creighton, well coached, not going to let Arizona completely eviscerate them in transition. But maybe I'm wrong. We'll see.
I didn't think San Diego State would either. I mean, that's a team I think is hyper well coached in pack line, and they kind of got rolled in transition. So we'll see. I don't know how tired legs play into this. Probably not much. Both these teams are relatively deep, and they're young, and it's Maui, and there's a great crowd. I don't think it'll be really a factor at all. I like the point about Ramey, and even Cedric Henderson is like this too. Two guys that were like trained in really disciplined, cutting-based systems, execution kind of offensively, and now they're like set free into the wild, and they're like, let's explore the space a little bit. Let me hit a couple pull-up threes in transition. This is kind of fun. So I like those two additions quite a bit. The two points that I think are huge here, Matt, you mentioned transition defense, and we talked about it. I think that is enormous, and I don't have as much faith in a young Creighton team that's still kind of finding its footing on that end. They're great in the half court when Kalkbrenner is just dominating the rim, but I think they're a little bit dicier in transition, so worried about that. And then how many ball screens does Arizona put Kalkbrenner in yesterday? Yesterday we saw Arkansas do it a ton. Arizona doesn't have the pick and pop guy like Brazil. He can't knock down threes, but if they force him to play in space, like if Kirk Reeser comes off a ball screen and you're not at least up to the level of the screen, he's going to pull up and hit a three. So I think they can pull Kalk away from the basket that way. And when he's not there, they're a little more exposed. Arizona's got the two bigs. They can go after offensive rebounds that way too. I kind of like Arizona at this point a little more, Kai, but I was kind of hoping Arizona would get bet up. And if I got Creighton at like 4, considering I made it 2, but it's right about where I have it. And gut leans towards Arizona for me.
My gut is Arizona as well, Jim.
Yeah. All right. Okay, let's go to the third place game here. Two teams that I honestly were relatively impressive. San Diego State had that huge punch back in the second half to take the lead over Arizona after getting down big. And then they kind of ran out of gas. Arizona hit the gas pedal. They take on Arkansas. Matt, something that shocked me yesterday. This is supposed to be Arkansas's deeper this year. They've got all these great freshmen coming in, tons of transfers. I know there's no Nick Smith Jr., but their top 5 guys played 184 of the 200 available minutes. Does that concern you, or is that just kind of a whatever, don't worry about it?
Yeah, it does. It's like the main reason I'm not betting Arkansas right now. I actually have Arkansas favored, and it's the money has come in on San Diego State. They are now the prohibitive favorite, depending on where you look, 1.5, 2. I have Arkansas -2. I was just super impressed with Arkansas's execution late in that game. It struggled early on, but I thought late in the game, just with how good Black is running the show, I think he just makes everyone else look better. So I would trust him in this spot here. But you're right, Jim. The depth I give the edge to San Diego State, and a back-to-back consolation game type situation where it's sort of a who knows. Obviously, this game matters. You want to get a big win for resume building purposes, but I don't always trust that teams come out with a consistent locked-in effort in a consolation setting. So it's a little too much hairy for me it's too hairy of a situation for me to back it, Kai. Staying away. Another fence rider situation for me.
Yeah, both teams I've been highly impressed with. Arkansas is scary good. They will be scary good when Nick Smith is back, rather. Black's a star. Brazil's a pro. But I don't like to go against the Aztecs. I think this team is amazing too. Arkansas shot really well against Creighton. Kind of proved my theory incorrect that they weren't going to be able to hit jumpers against Creighton's sort of packed-in defense. Can they do it again against San Diego? I'm not sure. Arkansas's ball pressure probably doesn't bother San Diego State as much, Jim. I like their guards quite a bit. It's a game I actually expected, Matt, to your point, to come in money, for money to come in on Arkansas. And it didn't. It went San Diego State, which surprised me. I wanted to kind of get San Diego State as a dog. They're not. So I'm just going to lean back and have watch a really good game.
Yeah, same here, Kai. I was kind of hoping to be on San Diego State. Numbers not really going to work out for it. I'm knocking a decent amount for no Nick Smith, and it worked out yesterday. Creighton led for almost all that game. I feel good about my number yesterday, having Creighton favored. I feel okay about having San Diego State a slight favorite here, but that's where the number is too. So not a ton of value on this one. Man, I want to see that Arkansas team like full form with Nick Smith Jr., because I think they would be ridiculous adding one more dynamic playmaker, guy that can score for himself or create for others. We'll see. Hopefully we get to that point. All right, let's keep going, guys. We're heading all the way across the country and out of the country, in fact, down to Jamaica. the battle for Atlantis in Nassau, as Matthew calls it.
Nassau.
We're starting with Dayton and Wisconsin. Dayton has taken some money here. I think this opened even pick in some places. Dayton -1. It's up to Dayton -2.5. Super low total, unsurprisingly. I know you guys were a little bit of split minds on this one. I leaned a little towards Dayton, but missed the number I wanted, but would have loved to have that -1. But Kai, I'm afraid enough of Wisconsin as an underdog and executing really well-coached team to not go wild with Dayton here. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think Wisconsin's looked better than Dayton, and you can blame injuries for sure. I'm still not sure Malachi Smith is healthy all the way. He played against Robert Morris. Dayton won by 9. That's not a good result. They lost to UNLV with guys getting hurt. They were tied late against SMU with Holmes and Kamara in the lineup. They just haven't been as good as I thought they'd be early on, Matt. Now, again, a lot of that's Malachi Smith, but if he's banged up again, I think Wisconsin has a real edge here. They haven't been challenged really so far this season. They took care of Stanford pretty easily. But I like what Tyler Wall looks like this year. I think he's a star. Chucky Hepburn's coming into his own. It's going to be a slow game. It's going to be low scoring. We know this. 2 really good defenses. I do like the under in this game, especially if Smith is limited. And I do lean towards Wisconsin as a dog here. I think they're a bit underrated.
Well, I like Dayton, so we disagree here, Mr. McKeon.
At 2.5?
Think, it's a 2.5 now. God, I did touch 2.5. Now 2, I can't go any higher than 2. I took some money line. I took some -1.5. I would have taken it at 2. 2.5 is just like, at that point, I'm forcing it because I do respect Wisconsin. I think they've been solid this year. I'm with you, Kai, on sort of uncertainty around Dayton's offense as they reacclimate Maui Smith back into the mix, but I trust Dayton's defense more. And that's kind of why I like them here today. They put together some really extensive scoring drought streaks so far this year and who they play. Now I haven't really played a murderer's row on offenses, let's be honest, but I think their defense is what gets them the win today and what should feel like a 4 or 5 point game. So I'm going Flyers, but can't endorse it at the current price. So.
Yeah, and Matt, we talked about Malachi Smith's injuries. Like Tumani Kamara, Deron Holmes both left the UNLV game. They're back. They played against Robert Morris, but this team feels like they're almost kind of cobbled together at this point or rolling in banged up. Hopefully they're healthier after a little bit of time off after the Robert Morris game. But I'm waiting to see here. Like I said, I would have wanted that -1, didn't get it. Trying to be disciplined, stick to the number. There's a lot of games today, so I don't need to be on every one of them. Let's go to the next one. Obviously, we're not getting Kansas, NC State because it tipped. So we're going to talk Tennessee Butler here before we get to a chat mob break. Man, Matthew, the market has sniffed out our Bulldogs, unfortunately. This game is 12 on KenPom, but it is 6.5 at BetRivers.
Yeah, give me a break.
Clearly, people know what they're doing. The Bulldogs are underrated there. 135.5 total, nothing really remarkable there. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, we need to stop talking about Butler in all our shows. That's part of the problem.
Butler's really bad, guys. Bet against them.
Yeah, they stink. Yeah. I'll be honest. I thought about this game. I took Butler at 7, but I took it small. Tennessee seems like they may have reverted course after that kind of snafu against Colorado. I've been going back and forth on this. No, the problems are still there. Ziegler's sort of a Jekyll and Hyde guy. I don't really know what their point guard situation is. But then reading what happened in their dominant, who they just beat, I'm just blanking. Who they
Gulf Coast.
Yeah, a really good team. I think we can all agree. Tennessee has that gear, right? Let's not forget what they did to Gonzaga. I know Gonzaga's defense not super impressive, but they completely eviscerated them. And this line does feel a little short for Kyle Butler team that's still without Ali Ali. Yep. They're going to have Wilmore's traveling. I think the Jalen Thomas is also traveling. I bet they don't play. It's still a shorthanded team. I think Tennessee's depth can wear them down. A lot's playing in Tennessee's favor. So if you're not a Butler believer like we are, this is probably a good time to bet Tennessee, I think.
Yeah, naturally books open this at 8. KenPom at 12. Okay, sure. 6.5, I think, is too short. Matt mentioned Ali's still out. He's massively important. Credit to Butler. They've looked good without him, but I think this game kind of changes it. I don't trust Chuck Harris in the backcourt against this Vols perimeter. I think he could have a ton of turnovers. He's way too erratic for my liking. Manny Bates is a total game changer for Butler inside, but Tennessee's sort of in love with the 3-ball this year. For better or for worse.
Kai, that was creepy. I literally, in my head, was thinking, man, they're in love with the 3 this year. And you said it. That was weird.
Number 1 in the country in percentage of points scored from 3. That might be not a great trend for the entire year for Tennessee, but if they're not looking to score inside, who cares if Manny Bates is down there, honestly? I think people are maybe a little bit sleeping on Tennessee after that Colorado result. I still think this is a really good team, Final Four contender. And I think Ziegler's out of the doghouse now. After that Florida Gulf Coast benching, I have to think he's on better terms with Barnes.
Yeah, I'm torn here, man. I want to be on Butler, but the number's too short. I'm kind of with Kai. Like, if you actually, if we knock for the injuries the way I probably should, this is probably too short to me. Like, I make this about 8. So I don't have a ton to go on here. I don't know if Plavsic is going to be back for Tennessee. I think he is going to be available. I know he's traveling with the team, so they sound a little healthier than Butler is right now. And yeah, Tennessee's ceiling is higher, and we saw the ceiling against Gonzaga in the exhibition. Time to see it in the regular season. Matt, I wish you're +7.
Thank you.
Of luck.
I'll need it.
All right, let's go to Chat Mob. Let's talk some of the games people in the mob are asking about. Kai, you're my czar, correct?
Yes, sir, I am, Jim. We're going to start with a game that's been surprisingly asked about a lot. Oh, it tips in 14 minutes. Eastern Michigan and Winthrop. This spread came down a ton, Jim. It is now +1 Eastern Michigan. Are you buying the Eagles taking that much money?
I'm angry at the Eagles for being down 2 yesterday and giving up a 3 with 15 seconds left, then fouling, losing by 7. How dare you, Eastern Michigan? Man, I don't know what to do with them. They're just really hard to figure out motivation-wise. Noah Farrakhan was terrible yesterday. For most of the game, he was putting up a donut. So I stayed away. At the current price, I would probably lean Winthrop against punching back against market at this number.
Matt, you get Southern Miss and Purdue Fort Wayne. This line's also come down. Fort Wayne's favored by 1.5.
Yeah, please tell me what Southern Miss has done wrong this season, other than like a 26-0 run they gave up to Liberty, which they just responded with a 13-0 run of their own to put away Liberty in their building. Now that result hasn't aged very well after Liberty's disgusting collapse yesterday, but to beat Vandy convincingly, I just like the Southern Miss team a lot. So I think anything up to, I would lay anything -2 or better. I just think they should be favored in this game by a little bit. So you got plenty of runway for value if you want to hop in now.
Jim, Minnesota going to UNLV. Or is it neutral?
Ugly. This is in San Juan Capistrano, California.
SoCal, somewhere down there. Yeah,
high school, almost a high school gym, I think. I have not seen a game go over like 60 to 65 in this gym in the last 2 years. So I think I kind of lean under. Both these teams very slow. UNLV is very much like a pace taker, Matt. We talk about those sometimes.
Yep.
They will play fast if you get in a track meet with them, but they will also get in a slog like they did against Southern Illinois. I think this is probably an under game, and I lean towards the dog. Minnesota getting battle back. Hopefully he's a little more in rhythm this time around. 4 points. It's probably a little too many.
Matthew, UCF has looked great this year. 15.5 point favorite right now over Evansville. Also a question about the under in that game.
Yeah, money's coming on the dog. I think Evansville got bet into, and rightfully so. They've been great as a dog this season. They kind of have that good dog DNA, but UCF's a team that I looked at a little closer yesterday, and I was like, this team might be really good. Taylor Hendricks is like a star in the making. I didn't bet it. I think had I not looked closer, I'd probably be on Evansville, but I'm glad I took a second peek under the microscope at this, what looks like a really talented UCF team. I'm not sure how I missed this preseason. So I stayed away, Kai. All that said.
Jim, Tulane, -1.5 against Western Kentucky. Is it time to back Stansbury's a dog, or is it way too short?
I kind of like WKU here with no Jalen Cook, no Jaden Coleman. I think the Coleman one is huge because without Cook, we knew that. That's fine. They've got their secondary playmaker in Coleman, shot maker kind of guy. He got hurt last game. He's now out. I think that was part of their major struggles with Rhode Island. I kind of like WKU playing a team that they should deem a worthy opponent. Talent level should play up. So I like the Hilltoppers.
One more early tip here, Matt. Then we'll go back to the outline. Sam Houston State has been asked about a lot. The chat mob loves them because South Dakota couldn't get away from freaking LIU. Have not been more frustrated with the team this year than South Dakota playing with their food against LIU. The scenes here were not pretty, Matthew.
No, they weren't pretty. Sam Houston, man, I didn't think they'd be a great favorite, but they completely dominated NIU. Now, NIU's not exactly a
NIU's blowing out LIU, by the way.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Nothing makes sense. I'm too. Nothing makes sense. I think just back Sam Houston. This is kind of one of those things where, like, hey, we're trying to trial and error. Like, if something's as simple and easy as obvious as it looks, it's probably just right. I think Sam Houston's just a good team to back right now. They're really good.
Or just fade South Dakota.
Or just fade South Dakota. Right. So both sides of the coin.
Drop them down a well. They only have a ton of talent and all 5 starters back. Why would they be good? Yeah, okay. Back to you, Jim, on the outline. I got the rest holstered.
All righty. Sounds good. We are returning to Atlantis then for USC BYU. Big battle of out west teams here. Matt, USC has not been very good so far this year. They got kind of their butts kicked at home by Florida Gulf Coast. Didn't really get away from Vermont, who might be bad, as we saw last night. Really, really terrible second half. But BYU has not been super impressive either. I don't know. Do you think BYU should be laying points here, given what they've done so far this season?
I don't. I'm not going to bet Andy Enfield versus Mark Pope, so I didn't take it. But I think +2 USC is a pretty good price. I think talent-wise, they're the more talented team, and BYU is really, really searching for answers at their point guard spot. Rudy Williams just hasn't been the answer there. He hasn't been good. And then, when I talked to Pope in the offseason, he's like, we really need Rudy Williams to be good. Like, he conceded, we're thin at guard, we're young at guard. If Williams doesn't stick the landing, I think we're going to have problems. And so far, look at their games. They've been kind of life and death at every point in all of their games so far. So I would lean USC.
Yeah, the one thing I can say good about BYU is, hey, they were competitive against San Diego State. And I can't say the same for USC so far in their games. They have not looked great. Yeah, Mark Pope versus Andy Enfield. That's kind of where I stopped at this one, at analyzing it. It's no chance I'm backing Enfield against Pope. BYU does have enough size to kind of match up with the perennially huge Trojans. And USC likely doesn't expose BYU's ball handling issues, Matt, to your point. USC doesn't really force a lot of turnovers, so they can't really take advantage of that weakness. So the coaching angle has me leaning BYU, but I don't trust this team enough to lay 2. And I agree with Matt. Talent-wise, pure talent, USC wins out here.
I kind of lean over here. Both teams have run a bunch on offense, surprisingly. Unfortunately, USC's interior defense is elite. 2-point percentage is fantastic, and BYU's is pretty high up there in the rankings too, 41st per KenPom. But I think we'll get a lot of tempo here. The problem is, I guess I probably should have said this earlier, is Atlantis is not a good over place. As much as people are in love with Maui overs, Atlantis unders in that ballroom have been decently solid. I think it's not a great place to shoot. It's just weird being in a ballroom and not a gym. So I would be wary about that. I just think tempo is going to be fast. All right. Speaking of unders, guys, 2 teams that we discussed on our Action Network podcast, Utah and Mississippi State. Neither team has experienced an over yet this season. Now we're looking at a low total of 125.5. Utah's a 6-point favorite. Mississippi State, 6-point favorite. Awesome ATS team as well. Matt, are you riding the under here, kind of amplified by the 2 teams playing each other? What do you think?
Yeah, that's probably the right lean here. Just with the way that Mississippi State's playing, with the way they're defending, and they do have some issues on the offensive side of the ball. You could say the same thing about Utah as well. I think both teams need to score inside out. They're going to play inside out. There's zero risk of the pace running up on you here, a helter-skelter. It will absolutely be a half-court game. And if efficiency stays as expected or even a little bit less than what's priced in, given both vaunted defenses, I think under is probably the right take here. From a side perspective, Kai, I think the line's pretty sharp as it is. Minus, what is it?
6.
Oh, so the 6 now.
Don't
Utah? No, okay, I agree. Don't fade Jans. All right. Jim's on it. Trust in the Craig Smith.
Stop betting Utah. Just wait.
They played good teams, though. They played good teams. Sam Houston, maybe just be a good team.
Cal State Bakersfield.
Yeah, they covered against Bakersfield.
Yeah, they've heavy Bakersfield. They have the Kai's right though. They've not been good as a favorite really, so maybe I'm overrated them.
They're a dog.
Okay, Kai, you know what they did that
what?
South Dakota couldn't do? They blew out LIU. So
yeah,
careful about that.
I hate
my Utes.
I hate South Dakota. This one's gonna be gross. Jim, I think Jim said it, but both teams are 0-5 to the under. Massive margins going under the total. There's a reason for that. I wrote this up today. Utah has played really slow teams. That's part of it. But Mississippi State's defense is awesome. Best program defense since the early 2000s under Stansbury. They also play slow and they control the tempo. They are not a pace taker. They are a pace maker. But Jim, Utah's interior defense, stout, man. Number 7 in the country in 2-point field goal percentage defense. We like that. It's a predictive stat. It's also key against Mississippi State, a team who looks to drive, play inside, pound the glass. I think it's very ugly. I think it does go under despite 125 being pretty low total.
Yeah, KenPom has it 127. Yeah.
Would imagine under here as well. Utah's offensive APL has been pretty fast, but they played terrible teams. I think that's part of it. They get quick shots early against LIU and Idaho State. So I would lean towards the under. I also think that just helps. You want to lay 2 possessions with Mississippi State in a game that you think will probably have 115 points. I like Utah. I think 6 is too many. I know that Jans is an awesome coach, but so is Craig Smith. So I don't feel like I'm really bowing down to Jans, who normally would have a big edge, but Craig Smith is good enough to keep up. think it'll just be kind of an ugly battle in the paint. As long as there isn't a huge discrepancy in which guards make shots, I'm okay with my Utes there. I think 6 is plenty of points to back Utah.
Jim, I'm going to add with you. Let's go. I don't know why I'm abandoning my Utes run. It's time. Let's ride together. I'll add it right now.
I think Mississippi State is one of the best ATS teams in the country.
I think
right
they're
now.
Undefeated ATS.
Yeah. Yep. So just a little note.
Yeah. Well, all runs must come to an end.
I'm looking at you. Go ahead.
They barely covered against.
I hate Utah. Why do you hate Utah so
I don't
much?
hate Utah. You just
hate that I like
the.
No, I agree.
They're not good yet.
That's fair. This is a jump the gun team for that. Fair.
Yeah. 2-3 Utah ATS. Okay, Jim, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll have you know I am 2-1
State
betting on Utah, and my only loss was by the hook against Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Well, maybe you got a good number, Jim. Maybe you got a good number.
Well, let's talk St. Mary's Vanderbilt. Speaking of ATS monsters, St. Mary's has been rolling everybody that comes into Moraga. This time, though, neutral site taking on Vandy. I'm just going to spoil it right now. Kai, this is my best bet. The under, one of my 2 best bets. I think St. Mary's just swallows up a team that has no point guard. Sorry, Ezra Mannion. But I think St. Mary's completely suffocates this Vanderbilt offense. They haven't been playing that fast, Vanderbilt, and St. Mary's won't let you run anyways. And then Vandy's defense is actually kind of competent. The more they play Liam Robbins, the better their interior defense is. So I think this one is slow, a slog. Both defenses are better than both offenses. I would lean towards not lean towards. I like the under. I love the under. It's best bet. What do you think of this one?
Me, Jim?
Yes, Caillou.
I agree. The under sounds good. St. Mary's open a little bit too high for me. I wanted to bet them. I can see them just trouncing Vanderbilt, to be honest. For how good other coaches say Stackhouse is on the X's and O's, I can't see his group figuring out St. Mary's offense. I think they're going to slice and dice them, shred them to pieces, and I don't see how Vanderbilt scores, like you said. They aren't a good shooting team. They don't take great shots. They're not going to find anything against St. Mary's. So I lean towards St. Mary's, Matt, even at 8.5. But a little bit too high for me to back officially.
Yeah, I'd say definitely too high. I think the under is a great play here. St. Mary's has scored predominantly from behind the arc. They're shooting, I think they're 43% from 3, 10th in the country. They haven't been as efficient inside the arc. This is their first game away from the friendly confines of Moraga. So I think there might be a little bit of a shooting regression. And against Vandy's interior defense, as Jim mentioned, anchored by Robbins now, kind of taking hold as the centerpiece there. I think they struggle to score as well. Makes you tougher to cover the 7 or 8 or 8.5 now it's up to. Under's the right play here. I don't think there's a side take.
All right. Way to confirm my best bet, Matthew. I appreciate it. Before we get my other best bet and your guys' best bets, Kyle, let's talk chat mob again. Lots of questions rolling in.
One more, though. Kent State Charleston.
Oh, man. I didn't scroll down far enough. Matt, throw some shade at me.
I don't do that. We're one team, one dream here, Jimmy. Nope.
Skewer me.
I'm above that. I'm so far above you guys. It's.
I thought I was at the bottom of my Word doc, and I just was not.
Not going to get in the
Kent
gutter.
State Charleston is up next. Peek behind the scenes. I initially included Kansas NC State on the outline, and we had to add Kent State Charleston, so that's part of it too. Big mid-major matchup here, though. Charleston not taking as much money in the market today as we are used to with them. Usually they get bet at least 3 points. But Matt, I think they respect Kent State as well. That team has been bet also. They got bet up big against Chicago State, blew them out. So maybe a stalemate here between 2 teams the market has liked so far. Honestly, I agree. 2 teams I have liked so far. What do you see? Any edge in this one?
Love 2 teams. This is feed up popcorn game for me. So numbers about right. I think Charleston, I probably would have it a little bit higher, but I'm trying to price in the potential hangover that we talked about with them off winning that tournament at home, Kent State coming into town, and they can punish you inside. It's not as physical as it was last year, but it's still a team I think has the edge on the interior. I think it's Charleston. Not that Charleston's weak up front, but I think they're more perimeter oriented, and Kent State does a nice job exploiting those types of teams. So kind of, just a fun game to watch for me.
Yeah, I'm shocked like Jim. I'm shocked it hasn't moved. The market finally didn't hammer Charleston. Both teams are awesome. Both have outside shots in that large bid. Kent State plays at Gonzaga and at Houston. They could definitely do it. It's going to be a very high possession game. I think it's probably going to be like 80 possessions. Could be in the 160s, the total. So yeah, there's a bit
bet up a little
there.
bit. Yeah.
159 is the total right now. Yeah. Kent State also allows a ton of transition. A ton. One of the most transition allowing teams in the country. Charleston's going to have a lot of chances. So the question is, if Charleston gets up to start, are they going to be able to sustain a lead? I don't know. I love Kent State, Jim, too much to fade them. I actually am thinking about stepping in a little bit at plus 2.5. Sincere Carey is the best player on the floor. Jacobs isn't too far behind.
Yeah, I love live betting Charleston games. I got it. Virginia Tech plus 5.5 live when they were down 10 early against Charleston. Charleston blows leads like crazy. It's just the tempo is too extreme for them to be like consistent and not give up runs. So if either team goes up big, I think we see value in the live markets with them. It's consistent with the Cougars this year. Like you can get a good price on both sides if you're kind of careful and watching it if your trigger hand is at the ready on that. Be ready to get your bet in. All right, let's get to Chat Mob, Kai. I'll kick it over to you. And I think you might get skewered if we don't talk Pepperdine. That's what I'm gathering.
Yes, it's on the list. I assure you guys. Good. Auburn, Northwestern, though, is we're going to start off here real quick. Northwestern took care of business against Liberty Gym. Liberty Blue, a big lead.
Just stop it at Liberty Blue. That's fine. I'm good with
Liberty Blue. Can Northwestern compete with Auburn? Kind of a short spread, I'll be at 6 points. I thought about it.
Yeah, I think Auburn fully healthy with Broom in there is the better team. And Northwestern, I think benefited from a Liberty team that's way worse than I thought they were. Like they just don't have any offensive pop outside of Darius McGee. I don't like little Colin Porter. I shouldn't be using this as a beat up
Bash Liberty thing. Yeah,
okay. But
I wanted to do it.
I just still remain kind of unimpressed with Northwestern. I think Auburn, if engaged, and they should be because this is a championship game, should take care of business here.
Matt, you get the Matadors, your Matadors of Northridge, +2 against Central Michigan.
Didn't take it. Not sure why. Do we have an update on Boopy Miller? Was he playing today?
He was in street clothes. Their starting center, whose name escapes me, was also in street
Harding,
clothes.
I think.
Don't know. Yeah, I don't know what their status is, but
just back. You should back CSUN. Do not fly too close to the sun unless you're on them. They've been good.
Central Michigan winning without Boopy Miller, pretty incredible to me. Or
I agree. They came back. They erased a big deficit to come back and cover. Yep,
didn't make a lot of sense to me. So, anyways, LSU K-State, a good game that did not get on the rundown. Jim, this is a litmus test for K-State.
They're not any good.
They're not any good. Says Matt.
They're fine. They're fine. Sorry. They're good. They're good. They're pretty good. Yeah.
Are they better than LSU? Give me quick takes. Go.
No, LSU's a little better.
LSU's a little.
No, they're not. Actually, K-State's better. I hate both teams.
LSU's favored by 1. So Mark,
I hate both teams. Both teams stink.
Both teams stink. Okay. Either way,
I think both teams are kind of good.
No.
Pepperdine, UCLA. We've come to it. I like the over. Boom. There you go. I like the over in this game.
Clean sweep. We didn't discuss that beforehand. Yeah. We all like the over.
It's come up a little bit. 151.5. I think UCLA is going to be just fine with running up and down against Pepperdine.
Yeah. And Pepperdine will always run. And UCLA just went 0-2 in the Roman main event. I could see them being a little bit angry at home here against a team that doesn't really defend that well. And Pepperdine can score. So yeah, this sets up well for over.
Jim, Drexel, Indiana State. Indiana State -7.5, lost outright to Kansas City yesterday.
I got an early -4 here. I did not think it would take off like this. But Kai, I kind of think Indiana State can do what Toledo's doing today, where a team that we see as kind of a cover juggernaut to start the year, really potent offense, got slowed down yesterday. I think they can run on Drexel. I don't think Drexel's very good. I was on Gulf Coast yesterday as well. So I'm happy to have the Sycamores here. The number right now is steep though. It's no bargain.
Matthew, you get East Carolina, UT Arlington. That's actually not on the list, so whatever. Skipping.
Well, hey, I'll add to the list. My burner account just asked about it, and I would take UT Arlington as I continue to fade East Carolina.
East Carolina also undefeated against the spread. I would not step in front of that game.
East Carolina's good, Matt.
Appalachian State.
Yeah, they're solid. They're fine.
Appalachian State, East Tennessee State, Jim.
I like ETSU. I think they're pretty solid at home here.
Injury check.
What's up?
Injury check.
Yeah, Jaden Seymour. He missed last game. Maybe it doesn't matter as much as I thought he did. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's not one of their best 5 players. I'll make that case. As long as they got Tipler, Jalen Haynes, the Virginia Tech transfer, and of course Jordan King in there, I'm fine back in ETSU.
We're going Marquette, Georgia Tech. Marquette -7, Matt. I don't know. That seems a little bit too high.
I disagree with you. Yeah. Didn't you take I thought you were on Marquette. I kind of like G Tech.
I wanted
at
Marquette
7.
at 5, but 7's way too much.
I would never back G Tech as a favorite, but like yesterday they were down, just rallied, played hard against Utah to get back in that game. Offensively, man, they are helpless, but I just think they play hard and they're going to mix up defenses. It's kind of a tough team to prepare for on a short turnaround too. I think this game gets a little uglier than Marquette would like, and it's a little closer than they would like. So I'd lean Tech.
Jim, Akron, Nevada. Nevada blew the game against K-State in overtime yesterday for their first non-cover of the year. Do you like them against Akron?
I don't like the team coming off OT, blowing the lead, but Akron's also been kind of awful. Like they got boat raced in the second half by LSU yesterday. It really kind of embarrassing. I did not expect that out of the Zips. I have a hard time getting a feel on both of these teams. I'm staying away. I know you guys are both very pro Nevada, especially Matthew, but I'm gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, me too. Campbell Jacksonville, I'll take it. I love the Dolphins and the under in this game. This game might not hit 60 possessions, and hopefully Jacksonville can take care of business for us. Yep. Matthew, you get a game that I am kind of surprised not on the rundown. Shade to Jim from the chat mob. Texas Tech, Ohio State in the Maui.
Ugh, it's a loser's bracket.
5th place game, Matt.
Ohio State's my slight lean. I think number's sharp. Just a tough one for me to handicap. I don't know. I've been kind of selling Texas Tech this year. I don't know if that's the right play.
I like Tech. I took Tech as the slight dog yesterday or last night, +1.5. I think it's okay at -1.
Lots of questions, mainly from one guy about Florida Gulf Coast and Kansas City. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to fade UMKC again. I'm not going to do it. So you can't make me. Boom. Matt is, though, because Matt's a psychopath.
They're a 95 rating, man. Why would you go against UMKC right now as they grind up teams to a pulp?
Yeah. Marvin Menzies, man. Good coach.
Yeah, I think he is. I'm with you on there.
Last one. St. Thomas, Milwaukee. I have no take. Milwaukee's a dog, and they should be. They're a terrible team. St. Thomas is actually pretty good. All right.
Yeah, but the tough home court there at the Salakai, we've been there. Some ruckus crowds have showed up to US Cellular, so you got to make sure you respect home court with Milwaukee.
One of the buzzers, they're our independent Chicago team. Chicago State, Cleveland State. I like the under in that game. That's where I would lean.
Yep, agreed. I'm with you.
All right, Jim, back to you for best bet section.
All righty. Best bets. We're going to start it off with Matt, though. Matt, give the people what they want.
Updated price. I'm taking Weber State, the Wildcats, catching 5.5, 6. Can I get 5.5? 5.5, 5 in the hook. I took Weber yesterday in kind of a close your eye spot. Was a little worried that they just weren't that good. But the prices, there's a good chance they're not that good. But the prices they're getting lined at are just like disrespectful. I'm sorry. Wright State's, I think, playing their 6th game in 12 days, by the way, too. So a little bit of a rest advantage for Weber here. I think the fact that they took care of business yesterday against ACU gives me confidence to back them again today, back to back, in a spot they actually have a rest advantage. So take Weber +5.5 at Dollar Loan Center. Where's this game at again?
This is the Vegas 4.
The Vegas 4?
Yeah,
Henderson. Yeah, okay.
All right, Kai, what about your best bet?
Guys, I'm going to keep fading Louisville. That's what I'm going to do. So
sounds awesome.
Cincinnati -8.5.
Sounds like a great idea.
That's what I'm doing. Because why not? If you've watched Louisville in the Maui so far, it's a lost team. Kenny Payne has no idea what he's doing. No guards is a bad idea. So -8.5 for Cincinnati.
Love it. Okay. My best bet, to remind you, was St. Mary's and Vanderbilt under 125. And then I'm also going with the side, FIU -9. They haven't been awesome against the number so far this year, but they're going to be in a track meet with a Stony Brook team that has no depth at all. They've been really ravaged by injuries so far this year. I don't know if Aaron Clark is ever going to come back for them, the Sacred Heart transfer, but it doesn't sound like he's back yet. So -9 FIU, it opens 7. Markets on the side here. I just think there's going to be plenty of possessions, and Stony Brook will wear down in the second half. So I'll take the favorite there, the Panthers of FIU. All right, fellas, I believe that is it. That wraps up our pre-Turkey Day special. We do have a actual Turkey Day special coming tomorrow. We'll be on at the same time, noon Eastern, 11 Central, but it's just Jim and Matthias because we're shipping Kai out to Portland. It's going to be our boots on the ground show reporter from the PK Invitational / PK.
We should elevate Legacy. A mobster. We should elevate a mobster to Kai's stead.
No.
Okay.
The mobsters can contribute their bets.
I want this archived for all people in the mob to know I am for you. I'm here for you. Kai and Jim, they sit in the bourgeoisie. I'm with the people. With the people.
Okay. Go be with the people. All right. That wraps it up. We'll see you back. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving. Maybe Matt and I will discuss Turkey Day food. I know our producer wants us to do that. So we'll get into that tomorrow. But enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the Maui final.